Beneath the vast heavens of the martial training court, Ling Han stood drenched in blood, as though he had bathed in a crimson storm. His sudden ascent to the seventh layer of the body refining tier had not come from fortune, but from wounds carved deep into flesh and bone. Every drop of blood he shed had been exchanged for strength. At this moment, he resembled a lone wolf driven to the brink. Yet the more grievous his injuries became, the fiercer his refusal to yield. At first, the gathered crowd had treated the duel as idle entertainment, a spectacle freely given. But as they watched Ling Han suffer blow after blow, only to rise again and counterattack without hesitation, something within them began to stir. Their detached amusement quietly transformed into something else. Even if Ling Han had once been branded a piece of trash, he was now a piece of trash worthy of respect. What sort of person possessed such iron resolve and unbending will? To remain unyielding while blood streamed from his body, to stand dauntless before every setback and crushing strike, such spirit was not common among men. Unknowingly, the hearts of the spectators began to tilt in Ling Han's favor. Secretly, they found themselves hoping he would triumph. In the realm of martial artists, the weak were not pitied. Yet a warrior who refused to bow could win admiration through sheer spirit alone. With his blood and indomitable will, Ling Han was seizing the very thing his former self had yearned for most: respect. This was precisely why he had stubbornly chosen to fight this battle, and even selected what others deemed a foolish path, a direct, head-on clash. Of course, only Ling Han knew that his condition was not as dire as it appeared. Within his meridians, the indestructible heavens scroll revolved ceaselessly, its profound energy knitting together torn flesh and mending shattered tissues. His wounds looked catastrophic, yet they were not as fatal as the crowd believed. Still, though his injuries were already partially healed, none of the damage had been feigned. The agony was real. It was as if a slow-burning inferno consumed his spirit from within. Yet it was this very torment that allowed him to erupt with power far surpassing his true cultivation. He had been forced to consume return origin pills continuously, fighting without pause while maintaining the unbroken circulation of the indestructible heaven scroll. Such exertion had drained his origin power at an alarming rate. Time and again, Ling Han was driven backward by force. Yet each time he surged forward once more, charging back into battle as though death itself could not bar his path. Fresh blood splattered across the stone floor, and his unyielding spirit infected much of the surrounding crowd. Some of the young women watching could no longer restrain themselves. Tears welled in their eyes as they pleaded for Ling Han to stop fighting. "Why won't you fall?" Cheng Xiang's composure crumbled the longer the battle continued. How could Ling Han be so resolute? Why was it that no matter how grievous his wounds, he simply refused to collapse? The pressure of this duel weighed heavily upon Cheng Xiang. The strength of the seventh layer of the body refining tier was enough to threaten him, and their repeated exchanges had shaken his internal organs violently. His viscera churned and boiled, causing unbearable discomfort. With a furious roar, he launched both fists forward at once. At last, he unleashed a martial art skill, determined to end the fight as swiftly as possible. It was one of the Cheng clan's signature techniques: expert armed fist, double peaks piercing the ear. 1. There existed a vast difference between a martial artist who employed martial skills and one who did not. They were as different as heaven and earth. Just as cultivation techniques were ranked, martial arts skills were categorized into heaven, earth, black, and yellow grades. A superior yellow grade martial skill could nearly double the user's strength. Each major grade was further divided into 3 minor tiers: high, medium, and low. A yellow grade low-level skill could enhance power by roughly 30%. A medium level one could elevate strength by approximately 40 to 60%. A high-level skill could amplify power by 70 to 100%. Expert Armed Fist was a yellow grade medium level martial art. It could increase the user's strength by around 50%, and its final 3 secret moves could raise it as high as 60%. Ling Han, in his former life, had mastered countless martial arts, including 7 exceedingly rare heaven-grade, high-level techniques, each capable of multiplying the user's strength tenfold. Yet, due to the limits of his current cultivation, he could not employ them. It was not merely heaven-grade skills that lay beyond his reach. Even earth-grade and black-grade martial arts were unattainable at his present level. Thus, he could only rely upon yellow-grade techniques. To wield a black-grade martial arts skill, one had to possess at least the cultivation of the gushing spring tier. Ling Han clenched both fists tightly and settled into an attacking stance. High-level yellow-grade martial art, dashing panther fist. Peng! A thunderous collision resounded as the two combatants exchanged blows. Their movements were astonishingly swift. Aside from Lu Yutong, only a handful of students who had reached the 9th layer of the body refining tier could perceive the exchange clearly. The vast majority saw only a blur. And then Cheng Xiang's body was suddenly sent flying outward. Hiss! A sharp intake of breath swept through the crowd. Cheng Xiang had actually been blasted away by the force of Ling Han's strike. What kind of unfathomable occurrence was this? Ling Han, though drenched in fresh blood, merely staggered back a few steps. What a stunning reversal. How could this be? Cheng Xiang had held the upper hand throughout the duel. Why was it that the moment he employed a martial arts skill, he suffered such a crushing defeat? Yet no matter how wildly their thoughts raced, none could fathom that Ling Han had just used a high-level yellow-grade martial arts skill. How could such a thing be possible? Even the two great clans of Grey Cloud Town possessed only medium-level, yellow-grade martial arts. If an ordinary cultivator managed to learn even a low-level yellow-grade skill, he would die content. Only Lu Yutong's beautiful eyes shimmered with understanding. She alone knew that the 3 yin mysterious arts Ling Han had imparted to her was a heaven-grade cultivation technique. If he could teach such a method, what would be strange about his knowledge of a high-level yellow-grade martial art? Cheng Xiang groaned as he struggled to rise, but the force behind Ling Han's strike had been truly terrifying. Even the slightest movement caused him to cough up blood incessantly. During their earlier exchanges, Cheng Xiang's internal organs had already been shaken violently. The final blow had caused all the accumulated damage to erupt at once. Quantity had transformed into quality in a single decisive strike. No, this isn't possible. Cheng Hao's face was pale with disbelief. His elder brother was an elite of the 9th layer of the body refining tier. How could he lose to a piece of trash? This had to be an illusion. Ling Han advanced slowly toward Cheng Xiang. With every step he took, the wounds upon his body healed rapidly. By the time he stood before his fallen opponent, every injury had vanished completely, a testament to the formidable might of the indestructible Heaven Scroll. I've lost. Surrounded by countless witnesses, Cheng Xiang could no longer deny reality. His eyes burned with ferocity as he glared at Ling Han, his face twisted in disbelief. He simply could not comprehend how Ling Han had defeated him. Ling Han slowly lifted his leg and positioned it above Cheng Xiang. What are you planning to do? Fear flickered across Cheng Xiang's face. Was Ling Han about to step on his face? Don't go too far. Too far? Ling Han let out a cold snort. His foot came down firmly upon Cheng Xiang's face. You, a cultivator of the 9th layer of the body refining tier, fighting me. Was that not too far? The first words your younger brother spoke to me were to tell me to get lost. The first thing you did was accuse me of using despicable means. Was that not too far? So only you are allowed to act as you please? There is no such logic in this world. Since your skills are inferior, you should speak less rubbish. He pressed down harder with his foot. Cheng Xiang groaned in pain. Yet what tormented him more than agony was humiliation. He had been trampled beneath another's foot. Worse still, that person was the Academy's publicly acknowledged trash. Though Ling Han would surely clear his name after today, the price had been Cheng Xiang's dignity. That was utterly intolerable. The surrounding spectators were rendered speechless. They had hoped Ling Han might prevail, but who among them had truly believed he would? Unbidden, they recalled Lu Yutong's earlier declaration. In less than 3 months, Ling Han would become an existence they could only look up to. Perhaps 3 months would not even be necessary. Already, many of them gazed upon him with awe. Ling Han, you will regret this. Cheng Xiang hissed, his voice venomous with fury. To be trampled by one he had considered trash, this disgrace would stain his reputation forever. Is that so? Ling Han smiled faintly. Such threats meant nothing to him. Beg for mercy, he commanded. If your attitude is sincere enough, I may spare you. Otherwise, you may have to lie here for quite a long time. You... Chengxiang trembled with rage, nearly bursting apart. Ling Han actually demanded that he beg for mercy before all these people. Alternate translation is Twin Peaks piercing pash passing through the ears. For obvious reasons, that is not the appropriate one here. But I thought it would be interesting to share that. It's likely a pun on the part of the author. Editor, Kurisu, if you refuse to kneel and beg for mercy, then remain lying there. After all, lying down is hardly exhausting, Ling Han said in an even tone, his voice calm as still water beneath a winter moon. He had always been a man who repaid kindness tenfold, yet if wronged, he would return the grievance tenfold as well. Such was his way of conduct in the martial world. Since Chengxiang and his younger brother had sought to bully him, then he would grind them beneath his feet, trampling them until they were reduced to utter fools. Lying down was not tiring? Indeed, lying down was not tiring. But when a foot pressed upon one's face, the matter ceased to be about fatigue. It became humiliation carved into bone. Chengxiang clenched his teeth so fiercely that his gums began to bleed. Ka-ka-ka, the grinding of his teeth rang out sharply in the air. If strength allowed, he would have torn Ling Han into a million fragments. Yet now he could only bow his once arrogant head and force out the words, "I'm sorry. Please, spare me." "You speak too softly. I cannot hear you," Ling Han replied calmly. "I'm sorry. Please spare me." Chengxiang roared the words. The moment the plea left his mouth, he felt as if his entire being had shattered. His pride, dignity, and self-esteem, as the eldest young master of the Cheng clan, burst apart like a fragile bubble the instant he begged for mercy. "Be more discerning in the future. There are people in this world whom you cannot afford to offend," Ling Han said as he withdrew his foot. "You should consider yourself fortunate that I am in a generous mood today." Generous? The surrounding crowd stood speechless. Chengxiang was not Cheng Hao. He was the eldest young master of the Cheng clan. To humiliate him in public was no different from striking the entire Cheng clan across the face. Such a matter would never end peacefully. A fierce conflict between the Cheng and Ling clans was inevitable. It might even escalate into a blood feud. Chaos would surely descend. Shen Ziyan watched from the side, her white teeth biting deeply into her crimson lips. The turmoil within her heart was beyond description. Both she and Ling Han stood at the 9th layer of body refining tier, yet the gulf in individual prowess was vast. She herself had defeated numerous seasoned martial artists of the 9th layer of body refining tier. Thus, even if Ling Han had defeated Chengxiang, that did not necessarily mean he could defeat her. But the true question was, what was Ling Han's present cultivation level? When this man ascended to the 9th layer of body refining tier as well, who within the entire body refining tier could stand against him on equal footing, to be invincible among those of the same tier, that was the bearing of a sovereign. No, she had no regrets. This was trash. Trash she had rejected years ago. Trash who could only look up to her for his entire life. Ling Han left the martial training court, Lu Yutong accompanying him as always. The two wandered through the academy grounds for some time before sitting beneath a large, ancient tree. Leaning against its trunk, they remained silent. After a while, Lu Yutong finally broke the stillness. "I never imagined your taste would be so poor, to actually fancy such a shallow and self-centered girl." Ling Han burst into hearty laughter. Turning toward her, he said, "My little attendant girl, are you jealous?" Who? Who would be jealous?" A rosy flush rose across Liu Yutong's exquisite face, making her appear even more radiant. "Don't flatter yourself. Is that how you address your master?" Ling Han laughed. Teasing this little attendant of his was occasionally quite amusing. Liu Yutong rolled her eyes, then swiftly changed the subject. "Do you intend to remain in Grey Cloud Town?" This place was far too small to contain a dragon like Ling Han. Ling Han smiled. "In some time, I'll pay a visit to Huyang Academy. Father hopes I'll go there and step upon the faces of those so-called geniuses." Liu Yutong was momentarily speechless before retorting, "You cannot even defeat me yet, and you speak of trampling all the geniuses of Huyang Academy? You should know that I am not the strongest fighter there." "You will see when we arrive," Ling Han said lightly, offering no further grand declarations. Only he himself understood the vast, terrifying potential slumbering within him. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the two returned to the Ling clan residence. "You little brat." As they stepped into the main hall, Ling Dongxing strode toward them, his face grave. At first, Ling Han assumed his absence from class had been discovered. Just as he prepared to speak, Ling Dongxing rushed forward and pulled him into a tight embrace, laughing loudly. "You thrashed those two brats of the Cheng clan and didn't even rush back to inform your old man so I could rejoice as well?" Ling Han finally released the breath he had been holding. "Father, how did you learn of it?" "This is no trivial matter. How could I remain unaware for long?" Ling Dongxing's laughter faded as he regained a solemn expression. "Hunter, you show tremendous promise. The fourth layer of body refining tier defeating the ninth layer. Astonishing, but such brilliance is too dazzling. I fear some may spare no expense to eliminate you." Ling Han nodded. Most people admired and respected geniuses, yet he had surpassed even that classification. He was more like a monstrous anomaly beyond comprehension. "I have released word that you are actually at the seventh layer of body refining tier, and that you had merely kept a low profile in the past," Ling Dongxing continued. This explanation contained many inconsistencies. After all, keeping a low profile and being trash were entirely different matters. But compared to the fact that someone at the fourth layer of body refining tier defeated someone at the ninth layer, would not this explanation be easier for the public to accept? Moreover, in the latter stages of the battle, Ling Han had indeed displayed strength equivalent to the seventh layer of body refining tier, making the claim more believable. "You need not attend the academy tomorrow to avoid exposing discrepancies," Ling Dongxing added. "Any cultivator of the element gathering tier could discern Ling Han's true cultivation at a glance. If seen, the deception would crumble immediately." This suited Ling Han perfectly. Yet the issue was that not only could he not attend the academy, he could not even leave the clan residence. After today's spectacle, many interested parties in Grey Cloud Town would certainly seek him out. Some might even lie in wait near the Ling clan residence. There was but one solution: raise his cultivation genuinely to the seventh layer of body refining tier. In that way, falsehood would become truth. Since leaving was impossible, Ling Han resolved to devote himself entirely to cultivation. Ling Dongxing supported him fully and, at Ling Han's request, provided a substantial sum of money. Lu Yutong was dispatched to procure medicinal ingredients, for Ling Han intended to personally refine an alchemical pill. The pill he sought to refine was the Little Cloud and Water Pill. Consuming it would significantly accelerate the cultivation speed of a martial artist within the body refining tier. Though purchasable on the market, the medicinal efficacy was poor. Ling Han had taken one before. It was at most half as effective as the pill he himself could refine. With sufficient wealth, many things became possible. Lu Yutong swiftly returned with the required medicinal ingredients and an alchemy furnace. For a martial artist at the fourth layer of body refining tier, pill refinement is somewhat challenging, Ling Han murmured. Ordinarily, only those at the seventh layer of body refining tier could begin refining pills. Without sufficient origin power to sustain the process, one would falter at the critical later stages, resulting in inevitable failure. "It seems I must refine the pill while consuming return origin pills simultaneously." He deftly separated the ingredients, his hands moving with such astonishing speed that Liu Yutong's vision blurred as she watched. At last, she truly believed that Ling Han was not merely versed in alchemical theory, he genuinely possessed the skill to refine pills. Was there anything this man did not know? Ling Han cast several medicinal ingredients into the furnace, though not all. Only about 1/3 of the ingredients were placed within. Then his right hand trembled slightly as he let out a soft snort. A flame suddenly ignited upon his outstretched palm. Ignition. This was the most fundamental ability of every alchemist, and the reason each required a fire alignment spirit base.